This is the Mazda BT-50 and it shares a platform with the Isuzu D-Max. And like its other sibling, the BT-50 is now expensive and it does come across outdated in certain areas in terms of what we expect a dual cab ute to offer. So, should you still consider one? First, what is there to know before walking into a showroom? The BT-50 rivals with cars like the Isuzu D-Max, Toyota Hilux, Ford Ranger, and you have a wide selection of models to pick from between 4x4 and 4x2, many different types of body styles, and you can now get the BT-50 with the new efficient, frugal 2.2 litre diesel, and pricing does cap out past $71,000, but this one I'm testing here is the $66,000 GT specification with the 3 litre diesel. And in total, you have a choice of 7 optional colours. And in terms of ownership, warranty, servicing, running costs, on your screen is a breakdown on everything you need to know. Okay, let's talk about styling. As you can see, this car has been fitted with accessories, which includes a durable chunky bull bar, a snorkel and a roof mount on the top there, and down the bottom, a factory steel bash plate and 2 recovery points. And the BT-50 also received an update for 2025. So the front section has been revised and I do think it looks a lot better compared to the pre-updated version. And the GT gets a gloss black grille, auto leveling LED headlights with auto high beam. And if we take a look at the side, this car has been fitted with the optional black 18-inch wheels, all-terrain tyres, leaf springs at the back and a coilover suspension setup, front disc brakes and a rear drum brake setup at the back. The plastic side steps have been replaced by these more durable ones from the accessory pack, and the GT also gets chrome door handles but no privacy glass. And if we take a look at the back, as part of the facelift, you get revised partial LED taillights. There's also chrome badging, a plastic step-up bar, a spare tyre underneath the car, and this car also has a towing kit installed. Okay, let's talk about the interior. So like the current generation D-Max, inside is nothing special, but this was updated for 2025, and that includes a newer 9-inch screen and a revised cluster. Apart from that, it is still pretty much the same car from 2020, but it is durable. Solid door slam, plastic up the top here, plastic down below, but you do get soft padding here. And on the dashboard, soft padding. That feels a bit hard and durable over here, here, and here, but there is soft padding in the center and on the center console. There is also a leather wheel that feels okay to grip onto, nothing special, and it does offer manual tilt and reach adjustment. The seats are also finished off in a fake leather. They're definitely not as comfortable compared to a Ranger or Amarok, but the front row seats can be heated, manual seat adjustment for the passenger, and 8-way power adjustment with lumbar for the driver, dual zone climate control with physical buttons. And this touchscreen system is pretty straightforward and basic, but sometimes a bit laggy. You do get some touch icons down here, and key features include wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. There's also voice control, inbuilt navigation, and that is what it looks like on the screen. And going into radio, AM, FM, DAB, and media functions include Bluetooth, USB, and a 6-speaker sound system. And moving on to safety, this comes with a reverse view camera, not a 360 camera, just parking guidelines and front and rear parking sensors. There is a rear cross traffic alert and auto dimming rear vision mirror, autonomous emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, a lane departure warning and a lane keeping assistant, adaptive cruise control with stop and go function, traffic sign recognition, and there's also a customizable 7-inch screen where you can cycle between different menus, and it is also part analog as well. And in terms of off-road controls, down here a dial to swap it from 2 high for on-road driving, 4 high and 4 low for off-road driving. This button here is your hill descent control, and this button, your rear diff lock, and this button, rough terrain mode, which will improve off-road traction. And if I go into car, this is going to take you into the vehicle settings, and you can also look at off-road angles, which is great for off-road driving. What about storage? There is no top glove box like on the D-Max, nor the pop-out cup holders, but you do get a double glove box setup. Both are pretty decent. There's a section here for a phone, 12-volt socket and 2 USB-C ports, 2 cup holders in the centre that go down pretty far deep, and a deep centre console. The door bins are pretty decent as well, and they can fit a large water bottle. Mirrors behind the sun visors but no lighting, a sunglasses holder, and in terms of accessibility, it is easy to climb in and out. There's also a remote key with a remote start function, keyless entry, and push button ignition. Here in the back with this seat set in my position, knee room is okay, so is toe room and headroom. The middle seat is a bit narrow, but you do have sufficient toe room, knee room and headroom. You'll also find directional air vents, a little bit of storage here with a USB-C port, a shopping bag hook over here, mat pockets, decent door bin storage which can also hold a big water bottle, grab handles up here, and a flip down armrest with 2 small cup holders. The bottom seats can also lift up, and that is going to reveal 2 hidden storage sections, and the back seat can also fold down flat. Finally, for child seats, the 2 outboard seats are ISOFIX compatible, and behind me, 2 top tether points. Okay, let's talk about the tub. You get a damned tailgate opening, and the GT also comes with a plastic tub liner and a few tie-down points to keep items in place. And as we already know, this car has been fitted with loads of accessories, including this bed rug, a solid sports bar up the top here, and a very durable manual roller shutter. And the space is pretty much the same as an Isuzu D-Max on which this is based on, so not as big compared to a Ford Ranger, nor do you get any LED lighting or power sockets, but you do get under a ton of payload, and other BT-50s get over a ton. And I think overall, for the segment, the tub size is still pretty reasonable. As mentioned before, you can get the BT-50 with Isuzu's new 2.2 litre engine, which promises to be just as capable, but of course more efficient. But this one I'm driving has the well-regarded 3 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine, and it develops 140 kilowatts and 450 newton meters of torque, which is down on power compared to other rivals, but it is paired to a very durable 6-speed torque converter automatic and a part-time 4-wheel drive system. And this 3 litre version and the 2.2 both have 3.5 tonne towing, and for off-road specifications that has been listed on your screen. And I'm going to take this out off-roading, but first on-road driving impressions. Okay, driving impressions inside the BT-50 with the 3 litre engine. Good forward visibility, side vision is good, decent sized wing mirrors, and at the back, rear vision is also great. Now, this isn't going to be as refined compared to an Amarok, Ford Ranger, nor as luxurious as a Kia Tasman, or as good compared to a Mitsubishi Triton, but it does feel pretty much on par with the current generation Toyota Hilux in terms of how it drives. There are some key differences that do make the BT-50 a little bit better. For example, the electric steering, and you do have a 12-metre turning circle radius. Ride comfort, it isn't bad. Not the best, but it's not unbearable. Yes, it does feel unsettled, especially at the back because the rear is leaf sprung. There is a bit of wind noise coming into the cabin. That has a lot to do with the snorkel and the top roof accessory. The throttle feels good at low speeds. The brakes, they feel progressive enough despite the fact that the back does have drum brakes. But when you do put your foot down, it does feel a bit sluggish, and the gearbox has been tuned to use more of the torque. The driver assistance all works okay, nothing too annoying compared to what you'll find in some of the cheaper Chinese rivals. Setting the adaptive cruise does take a bit of time to work out because it is a bit fiddly to engage. The lane centering and the active steering assist It's not bad, but not great. What about fuel consumption? The official combined figure from Mazda for this 3 litre powertrain is 8 litres per 100. I'm currently sitting on 8.5, and that is a mixture of freeway driving, urban driving, country driving, and I think that is a fantastic result for the segment at least. Okay, time for some off-road driving. Like always, nothing too extreme. We're going to work our way from 4H. I'll engage that now, then to 4 low and activate the rear diff lock. So going up the hill, we do have big, chunky all-terrain tyres, and it pretty much walks up. Like I said, this isn't an extreme off-road course, but it seems pretty capable. It sits around 1500 RPM, going at a speed of 10. But yes, a very good powertrain, solid, capable, no nonsense. Let's go back around and test the low range and test out hill descent control, going back down the hill. So to engage that, push this button. I don't feel the tyres losing grip and the brakes kicking in. Probably a little bit too fast for my liking. And that seems to be doing a really good job. Not as good compared to Toyota's system. Now, 4-wheel drive, low range. Now sitting on, again, 1500 RPM, a speed under 10, and it is pretty quick. Yeah, you can tell this gearbox has been set up to use a lot of the torque. So it may feel underpowered driving on the road, but it does make this very capable for a diesel 4-cylinder for off-roading, and I guess for towing as well. And now let's try rough terrain mode, going through this muddy section. And that is going to give you grip on wet and tough surfaces going off-road. So a pretty good system. Again, not the best, not class leading, but as you can see there, it does work pretty well. So a conclusion on the BT-50. I do like the updates, the revised front end and the enhancements on the inside, and it is also capable off-road and overall a pretty good work truck. But within this price range, you do have a lot of options now. So which would you pick? D-Max, BT-50, or even a Ford Ranger, Toyota Hilux? Let me know your feedback, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.